Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Zach, the Value Commander.
And I'm Bronson, the Budget Commander.
And we are the Bargain Bin
Bin
Commanders. So, guys, today we got a really special treat for y'all. We are looking at one of the pre-cons from the Commander set from, what is this, Bronson?
This is Commander Core Set 2018. We are looking at one of the Planeswalker pre-cons from that time period.
That's right, guys. We are looking at Saheeli the Gifted. Okay, this deck is all about artifacts and all the different things that she is able to do. Okay, guys. So you're gonna get to watch us open this precon, see what all's in it, and possibly throw in or suggest any kind of upgrades that we can think of to this deck to make sure that not only is it going to be competitive and fun to play, but also make sure that it's going to be bargain bin approved for you guys. Okay.
So, without further ado, guys, make sure that you go down below, hit subscribe, go ahead and ring that bell so we can all draw cards.
And also, if you like what you're seeing, make sure that you get on jump over to Patreon and subscribe for us. Become one of our either novice, pro, or legendary supporters, and see all of the different perks that come along with that. Okay.
Especially when it's one of those perks. So on our Patreon, make sure that whenever you do go on there, you have the ability for our second and third tier subscribers to even be able to come on and play with us at the next Bargain Bin Expo. So we're looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible. And without further ado, we're going to see you guys
in the Bargain Bin.
All right, gentlemen, I want you to repeat after me just how I do it. Ready?
Hey guys, so like we said, we are looking at Saheeli the Gifted Exquisite Invention Commander Precon deck from Commander 2017 drop. 2018 drop. Thank you, Bronson. 2017 was all the Eminence Commanders.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is really cool. If you can see here, it has 2+1 abilities. This is actually one of the few Commander Planeswalkers here. And all of the 2018 Commanders were all Planeswalkers, right?
Yes, it had Saheeli. You're also looking at Lord Windgrace, Aminatu, and Elstrad the Mask.
Yes, and all of those are terrific decks in their own right. Aminatu being able to kind of blink or flicker things, as well as miracle costs.
Oh yes.
Lord Windgrace is that ever so favorite landfall deck that you. I think you're looking to show that deck here before too long.
I actually personally own the Lord Windgrace precon, and I literally, when I did my upgrade, I added 2 cards to it.
Oh yeah, and then Saheeli, guys, the cool thing about her is she is a 4-drop Izzet commander, so 2-drop and blue red. And what it says is she has 4 loyalty. For +1, you're going to create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Another +1. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 colorless less to cast for each artifact you control as you cast it. That is going to be really good, especially later on in the game when you ever have more artifacts, whatever. You could possibly getting things out for free if you're casting an artifact. And then that -7 ability for each artifact you control, create a token that is a copy of it. These tokens gain haste, exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So guys, what we're looking at is to see, you can buy this at Walmart for about $44, $41, some of them. It depends on where you're at in the country, how much tax you're looking at, stuff like that.
Shelf price is $40.
Yes. So, what we're doing today is we're going to be unboxing this, seeing what cards are in here, seeing if it's worth that value, and possibly see if if it might be worth more than what the actual box is.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're actually going to go ahead and start opening up this box.
That's right.
So whenever we open up the box, these Commander sets, you want to open them from the bottom.
Yeah, because anywhere else you're kind of tearing up the box, and it's kind of hard to get out because it's kind of a rectangle shape.
It is. Now what's really
cool triangle shape
is whenever you do open them up, this part right here just slides out, and it comes with this really cool oversized card. And I love the oversized card because it's kind of like a look at me, I've got this cool thing. It even has the proper Magic the Gathering backing. So I just think they're really cool. I actually have 2 of these cards. For one of them is for Lord Windgrace, of course. I mentioned that earlier. But I also have the Eminence Commander for the Grixis Wizards deck.
Oh yeah. So opening this up, the first thing that we see is it comes with a sleeve in here for showing what this deck is, what it's all about, some of the commander rules there. You know, it's showing playing the deck, some different things that the deck is meant to do. You
Pretty
know,
much a beginner's guide to how the deck works.
exactly. And then all of these come in nice and sleeved. Well, kind of sleeved, but wrapped. Really nice packaging there. Obviously, the regular size for that Saheeli.
Included in the deck. Now, what's really cool about these is that it also comes with 10 token cards to go with the deck itself. So even if you're looking to upgrade it, you've already got tokens that go with it. So if you're doing anything with Thopters or Servos or anything else token wise, it's already got some of them there. So you can actually just utilize counters.
Exactly. All right, so here we go, guys. Maybe I should be wearing gloves. Maybe I shouldn't. Obviously, we can't put sleeves on these yet, but they will be shortly. And right here on the back, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Popular Magic formats, both standard, booster, draft, and commander. And the artwork on the back is gorgeous there. And then Bronson, if you want to do the
All right, so starting off, of course, we do have Saheeli the Gifted. She is the Planeswalker that comes with this deck. She is a fantastic commander, but we also have Burniclad, the engineer. He's one of the legendary creatures. It's an alternate commander. All of these precons come with 2 to 3 alternate commanders already in the deck.
yes, and that is really cool. Brutaclad Tekla Engineer is a really good card. It is a 4/4 artifact creature, legendary token, or legendary creature. And creature tokens you control have haste, as well as at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue mere artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token.
Which is phenomenal. And also, like it says, all tokens having haste.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we've also got Thanos, Urza's Apprentice. Fantastic. It's got haste, and whenever you pay is it and tap it, the copy target activated or triggered ability you control for an artifact source. You may choose new targets for the copy. We
All
also
right.
have all of the
Tokens for the
tokens that come
deck.
with
We
it.
have them. So next up, guys, we have the tokens in this deck. Okay, what these tokens are? Let me see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 tokens in total, but they are double sided. So we're gonna have constructs, servos, mirrors. Um,
Lots of mirrors. So I'm
yes, lots of
anticipating seeing
mirrors.
things like Mirror Battlesphere.
And I'm anticipating too, obviously the Thopters because of Saheeli and some survivors. So these are going to be really cool to get to see how we're going to use those.
Mhm. We also have some of my favorite cards in Commander. We have the Loyals. Now, the Loyals are really awesome because what it is, Loyal Drake and Loyal Apprentice, they have Lieutenant. So, what that is like Loyal Drake has flying, it's a 2/2. Lieutenant at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control your commander, you draw a card. Fantastic for card advantage. And Loyal Apprentice, Lieutenant at the beginning of combat of your turn. If you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, and that token has haste until end of turn. Fantastic synergies with these. I love the Loyals. I run it in my Windgrace deck. I run the 3 Loyals for that one.
Oh, yeah. So next up, it looks like we have Geode Golem, which is an artifact creature. It looks like a lot of these are going to be artifact creatures. Geo Golem, Ethereum Sculptor. One of them is colorless 5-drop. One is a 2-drop.
Now, Golem is cool because if you attack an opponent and it deals combat damage, you can play your commander for free.
Exactly. And then Ethereum Sculptor it's just cheapening your artifacts.
Yep.
So, with as many things as we have cheapening things, it looks like already, we're looking at a lot of free artifacts coming out in this deck, possibly.
We have Into the Royal. It's a kicker card that returns a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If it was kicked, you draw a card. We also have Reverse Engineer, which has Improvise, which means you can tap artifacts to pretty much help pay for it, pay for the colorless cost, and you get to draw 3 cards off of that.
Oh, yeah. Then we have Thirst for Knowledge, which is a, 2 in a blue, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact.
On top of that, we have Tidings, which is just draw 4 cards.
for 5, so that's pretty good value. We also have Whirling Rogue, 4-drop. When Whirling Rogue enters the battlefield, this is a creature, and create 2 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. So not only is our commanders getting those Thopters, but also this creature here. And then tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Target creature can't be blocked this turn.
So you can make some really large creature beat the crap
Oh
out
yeah,
of
I mean,
somebody.
all those rogue effects are kind of really cool.
Mm-hmm. Then there's Thopter Engineer. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 flying Thopter. Artifact creatures you control have haste. Awesome synergy with this deck.
Yes, it is. And then we have Maverick Thopterist, which is a 5-drop and with Is It, and it has improvise, so you're able to cover, possibly up to 3 of that, with your other artifacts. And when Maverick Thopterist enters the battlefield, create 2 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. So yeah, we have this is definitely going to be
An artifact deck.
an artifact deck.
Chief of the Foundry is an artifact creature lord, so all your mirrors, your servos, your Thopters are getting +1/+1 with it on the board.
And then Commander Sphere, a really a staple in Commander. It's going to come in for 3, so it's definitely a mana rock is what I'm looking for. And it's going to add for tap and add it for any color in your commander's color identity. You already have this in one of your other decks, and then obviously when you play it, you're going to draw a card.
It's actually when you sacrifice it.
Oh, you're right. Sacrifice it and draw a card. I read that wrong. That's my fault.
Yep. Dreamstone Hedron is a artifact exclusive mana rock for 6 mana. You put it out there. Whenever you tap it, you add 3 mana, and for 3 and a tap as well, you can sacrifice it and draw 3 cards.
Yep. Next up, we have Hedron Archive.
Pretty much the same thing, but for 2 less.
Yeah, it's 4 for 2, and it's the same thing. Then we have Is It Signets,
Love the Signets.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a filter. You're going to be able to pay 1 to tap for 2.
We got Magnifying Glass for 3. You can tap for a waste, or for 4 you can tap and investigate, which means you get to create a clue. Now clues, how they work: you pay 2, you sacrifice this artifact, and you draw a card.
Let's see, the clues are here, right?
Yep.
Clue. Pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card right there.
Mm-hmm. We also have Mind Stone.
Yep, Mind Stone, once again, just a mana rock. We have Pilgrim's Eye, which is a creature, a Thopter creature, funny enough, and it's a 3-drop with flying. When Pilgrim's Eye enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. So, it's a 3-drop 1/1, but it is going to let you go search for that, search for a land.
Charismatic Lens, it can tap for a waste, or you can pay 1 and filter it into a mana of any color.
That's right. Scrabbling Claws is a 1-drop, and target player exiles a card from their graveyard for tapping it, and you pay 1, sacrifice this card, and exile target card from a graveyard, and then draw a card.
We of course have the notorious Soul Ring.
What what precon wouldn't have Soul Ring in it, Bronson?
I have no idea.
Next, we have Swiftfoot Boots, or the Swift Footy Booties, as I like to call them. 2-drop. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip cost for 1.
Unstable Obelisk. I love Unstable Obelisk. Yet again, tap, add a waste. Or for Santa and tap, unstable, sacrifice Unstable Obelisk, destroy target permanent.
Mm-hmm.
I've never found use for that bottom part of it.
No, but it is a good mana rock.
It is.
Next up, we have Vessel of the Endless Rest. For a 3-drop, when Vessel of Endless Rest enters the battlefield, create a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library, and you're going to tap and add 1 mana of any color. So it's a great mana rock for 3, and you're tapping for any color.
We have the Worn Power Stone. Comes in tapped for 3, and you tap to add 2 waste mana.
That's right.
I think we're generating a lot of waste.
It seems so.
We have a Random Island.
Random Island. It looks like we're going into most of our blue cards now. I would hope so. No, apparently not. But we do have Echo Storm, a 5-drop, 3, and then 2 blue. When you cast this spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. You may choose new targets, 4 copies, and create a token that's a copy of target artifact.
Fantastic. The Vidalcan Humiliator, which with Metalcraft, whenever the Vidalcan Humiliator attacks, if you control 3 or more artifacts, creatures your opponents control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness of 1/1 until end of turn.
Oh yeah, and with Metalcraft, most decks you're not really going to be. Metalcraft really isn't much of a thing, but this is definitely a deck that Metalcraft comes in handy.
Oh yes, it's going to be able to take a lot of advantage for that.
That's right. Next up, we have an enchantment, Enchanter's Bane. It's a 2-drop. At the beginning of your end step, target enchantment deals damage equal to its converted mana cost to its controller unless that player sacrifices it.
That is a hilarious card that I'm going to be looking into for a Grixis deck.
Oh, yes.
Saheeli's Directive. It's got Improvise. Yet again, fantastic. Tap those artifacts. And what it is for 3 red and X, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of artifact cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed that way that weren't put on the battlefield into your graveyard.
So, guys, you've seen the Genesis wave in my in one of the other decks we've shown so far. This is basically the red version of Genesis wave for artifacts, where Genesis wave is green and puts any permanents revealed that way onto the battlefield. This is going to put those artifacts on the battlefield. Next up, we have Treasure Nabber. It's a 3-drop Goblin Rogue creature. Whenever an opponent taps an artifact for mana, gain control of that artifact until the end of your next turn. That's just mean.
It's hilariously fun. We have Varchild, Betrayer of Kildor. It's a legendary creature, Human Knight, 3/3. So this is a creature that you can, in fact, build a commander deck around if you're really looking for it. Whenever Varchild, Betrayer of Kildor deals combat damage to a player, that player creates that many 1/1 red survivor creature tokens. Survivors your opponents control can't block and they can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. When Varchild leaves the battlefield, gain control of all survivors.
Daggum, that is just sick. Now, guys, the next one, I really like this. This is a big body. So, Bronson, what would you think if you were playing against a deck like this and they got a 12/12 on the board, say turn 4?
I'd poop. This thing has flash. It is a 10-drop 12/12. This spell costs 1 less for each attacking creature with trample, and when it dies, it creates a 6/12 construct artifact creature token with trample.
Exactly. Plus, having Saheeli's ability and all of the other, minus abilities, minus colorless abilities that we have already in this deck, there's a possibility of getting this out for free.
Especially with Brutaclad being able to turn all of the tokens that it makes into copies of that construct token.
Oh, that is just sick. So
Mhm.
next up, we have Coveted Jewel, which is a 6-drop artifact. Coveted Jewel enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, tap, add 3 mana of any one color, and then when one or more creatures an opponent controls attack you and aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gain control of Coveted Jewel. Untap it.
That is fun.
That is fun, but it can also come back to bite you.
Well, yes and no, because you're actually provoking people to attack you. You let it happen, they get control of the covetous jewel, they tap it, and you're going to get control of it with the goblin. And then because it goes back to the owner when at the end of your next turn,
It comes back to you.
it comes back to you, and you've got it again.
Oh, that is actually kind of cool.
Next we have the Endless Atlas for 2. Pay 2, tap, draw a card, activate this ability only if you control 3 or more lands of the same name, so 3 islands or 3 mountains in this kind of deck.
Oh, yeah. Next up, we have Retrofitter Foundry. It's a 1-drop artifact, and it does some pretty cool things, it looks like. For 3, untap Retrofitter on Foundry. For 2, tap and create a colorless servo artifact. And for 1, and tap, sacrifice a servo. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Or just tap it and sacrifice a Thopter. Create a 4/4 colorless construct artifact creature token.
It is a fantastic card and used in a lot of chains.
Oh, yeah. And with how many Thopters that we have in this deck, being able to attack and sacrifice those Thopters and get constructs, that is value, guys.
Now, one of my favorite artifacts in the game, and we're seeing it right here, 6-drop 6/6, Soul of New Phyrexia. It's got trample, and for 5 mana, permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And for 5, exile it from your graveyard. Permanents you control gain indestructible till end of turn.
Next up, we have Aethergale, which is a 5-drop for blue, and sorcery returns 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. So very similar to that Cyclonic Rift that a lot of decks have.
Yes. Next, we have Inkwell Leviathan for
9.
9. You're looking at a 7/11. It's got trample, it's got island walk, and guess what, guys? It has shroud.
That is just sick. Not only having a 7 drop with trample and island walk, but or a 7 power with the trample and island walk, but then an 11 toughness with shroud.
It makes it
It,
very difficult to deal with.
depending on what stage in the game you're at,
That could be a game ender.
that could be definitely a game ender. Next up, we have Saheeli's Artistry for 6. Choose one or both. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact, or create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types.
We also have the Sharding Sphinx. Try saying that 5 times fast. Flying, and whenever an artifact creature you control deals damage to a player, you may create a 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature token with flying.
Next up, we have Thopter Spy Network. For 4, enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. And whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So that's a lot of value with all the Thopters.
One of my favorite red cards in the game, we're looking at Blasphemous Act. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. That includes your opponent's creatures. And Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. You're looking at a creature style board wipe.
Next up is one of my favorite and fun cards in the game of Magic. Overall, it is Chaos Warp. Guys, this is an instant. The target of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they may put it into the battlefield. This is a lot of fun because, well, just like the name implies, it does add a little bit of chaos to the board and to the game, as well as, hey, if you're able to get rid of one of those pesky permanents, that's awesome, and they might very well just flub it with a sorcery or instant on top, or they might get something even worse out. You never know, but either way, it's a lot of fun to find out.
It is. Now we have the Hellkite Igniter. It's a 7 drop. It's a 5/5 flying haste, and for red colorless, Hellkite Igniter gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control.
Oh, that is sick. For 7, you're already looking at, if you do the +1 ability for Saheeli 3 times to create an artifact, it's already getting +3/+3 right there, guaranteed. Next up, we have Magma Quake, which is a 2 drop and X. Magma Quake deals X damage to each creature without flying and each planeswalker. That is sick, guys. This is a good way to really get a good board wipe just all the way across.
Oh, yeah. Next, we have Blink Moth Urn. If you don't know what it is, you must be new here.
Possibly.
So, for 5, at the beginning of each player's pre combat main phase, if Blink Moth Urn is untapped, that player adds colorless mana for each artifact they control.
Guys, that just means that this is a good a good group hug card, as well as a good
Accelerant for us.
accelerant for us, as well as any kind of talking or politicking. That's going to be good for that also. Next up, we have Bosch Iron Golem, which is an 8 drop legendary artifact creature golem. And technically, this could be a commander by itself, also in a red deck, because it does have a red cost on the wording here. It is 6/7 with trample, and for 3 in red, sacrifice an artifact. Bosch Iron Golem deals damage equal to the sacrificed artifact's converted mana cost to any target.
Yet again, one of those game ending cards. For 4, you can deal a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
Now we have one of my favorite artifacts in the game. We're looking at the Dark Steel Juggernaut. This thing is really cool. For 5, it is a artifact creature Juggernaut. It's indestructible, and its power and toughness is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Dark Steel Juggernaut has to attack each turn, each combat if able. Now, here's the really cool thing about Dark Steel Juggernaut, though. The only way to get rid of it is destroy every single artifact on the board, and there's always going to be one.
Or to exile it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is awesome. And it's always going to be 1 because it's its own artifact.
Exactly.
So it's coming out as a 1/1, guys. Next up, we have Duplicant, a 6 drop artifact creature, shapeshifter. With imprint, Duplicant enters the battlefield, and you may exile target non-token creature. As long as a card exiled with Duplicant is a creature card, Duplicant has the power toughness and creature type of the last creature exiled with Duplicant. It's still a shapeshifter.
That's pretty cool. Now we have Mimic Vat for 3. You can imprint it whenever a token creature dies. You may exile that card. If you do, return each other card exiled with Mimic Vat to the owner's graveyard. For 3 and tap, create a token that is a copy of the card exiled with Mimic Vat. It gains haste exile at the beginning of the next end step. So, guys, if you need to drop Soul of New Phyrexia every single turn for 3 and a tap, you got it.
That's right. Next, we have Mirror Works for 5. Whenever another non token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that artifact.
We also have one of the oldies but a goodie. It is Mirror Battlesphere.
Didn't you guess that this was going to be in here?
You know, I saw the mirrors and just had to know. Mirror Battlesphere is really cool. When it enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. When Mirror Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X untapped mirrors you control. If you do, Mirror Battlesphere gets gets plus X plus 0 until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. So pretty much it gives it double strike, but the first round of double strike is unblockable.
That is dirty. Not only that, but that first one also you can separate that damage and swing it different ways.
Nope, it has to be the guy it's attacking.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're right. All right, so next up we have Prototype Portal for 4, another imprint card. And when Portal enters the battlefield, try saying that 5 times fast, Bronson. Prototype Portal enters the battlefield, you may exile an artifact card from your hand. And then for X and tap, create a token that's a copy of the exiled card, where X is the converted mana cost of that card.
So you can have infinite Mirror Battlespheres.
Oh, that is dirty.
Because every turn you make 4 more you make another Mirror Battlesphere, you get 4 more mirrors, you swing with the Mirror Battlesphere, guess what? Then the next turn, you tap it again, and you get more Battlespheres.
Oh no, thank you.
And after that, we have Psychosis Crawler. For 5, Psychosis Crawler's power and toughness is equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life.
Next up, we have Scuttling Doom Engine. 6-drop, 6/6. Scuttling Doom Engine can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So no chump block in this, guys. And when Scuttling Doom Engine dies, it deals 6 damage to target opponent or planeswalker.
Wow, so this thing is a 6/6/6 and deals 6.
That's right.
Now, we also have Steel Hellkite for 6. There's a running theme here.
It tends to be.
So it's a 5/5 with flying and +2. Steel Hellkite gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Or you can pay X. Now you can destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X, whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activates its ability only once each turn.
Would you look at that? We have another 6-drop in the form of Thopter Assembly. This is like I said, 6-drop, 5/5 flying Thopter creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no Thopters other than Thopter Assembly, return Thopter Assembly to its owner's hand, create 5 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creatures tokens with flying.
Dang.
That is some value. Think of that and being able, the artifact that we have to tap it, take one of those Thopters and turn it into something bigger.
Then have that go back to hand. Boom,
create those again. Oh man, that seems almost like an infinite
But how do we
loop.
make that work? Well, we do it with Unwinding Clock. It's a 4-drop, untap all artifacts you control during each player's untap step.
Oh man, that is sick. It looks like the next few cards we have, guys, is lands.
Let's take a look at some of the lands here. We've got lots of
lots
different
of
types.
islands, lots of mountains.
We have enough different types of arts on those mountains and islands to give any pro player a brain aneurysm.
Oh yeah, those are gorgeous. Next up, we have Forge of Heroes, which is going to tap and add a colorless, or tap and choose target commander that entered the battlefield this turn. Put a 1/1 counter on it if it's a creature, and and add a loyalty counter if it's planeswalker. That is sick, guys. So automatically, if we have this on the board and we drop Saheeli, look at that.
She got loyalty 5.
Loyalty 5, exactly.
We've also got Buried Ruin. It taps, adds a colorless, or for 2 and tap, sacrifice Buried Ruin, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand.
Wait, so even artifacts have graveyard recursion?
Artifacts break all the rules in the game.
Oh, look at that. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
It's Command Tower.
It is literally the commander staple for any land in the game, especially multicolored, because you're getting your colors right away.
We have Dark Steel Citadel. It's indestructible. Taps, adds a colorless.
That's awesome. Next up, we have Foundry of the Consoles, which is tap and add colorless, or for 5, sacrifice Foundry of the Consoles, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying.
Great Furnace, yet again another artifact land. Tap, add a red.
Next up, we have Highland Lake. It's basically gonna be the is it Guildgate, because it's coming in tapped and adding a blue or red, and I'm guessing
Is it Boiler Works?
that's gonna enter tapped, and when it comes into the hand, this is the bounce land, guys. Bounce one of the lands that you control to your hand, and then tap and add 2 for that.
Is it Guildgate itself?
So we have 2 of those.
We have Seed of the Synod, another artifact land. Tap, add blue.
Next and last, we have Swiftwater Cliffs. So this is the gain life tapped land, guys. That is awesome. So Bronson, from what I'm looking at here, this is a lot of value, a lot of artifacts, and believe it or not, even a little bit of possibly aggro in an Is It deck.
It is. It's not your typical Is It. This is actually going to be an artifact-centric deck. Saheeli the Gifted is fantastic for artifacts.
Oh, yes.
And one of the biggest things I noticed about this deck, 90% of it is, in fact, artifacts.
Yes, and I didn't see much control in here at all.
It doesn't need it. For some reason, it's very difficult to deal with artifacts, especially whenever you got things that are making your artifacts indestructible or just permanents you control in general indestructible.
Well, Zach, for starters, what we have here is a bet taken care of.
Well, thank you. It's always good to take care of your bets, guys.
Yes. So, one of the things is, whenever we look at it as the bargain bin commanders, we look at the price of the deck itself. Now, we went out to our local Walmart, and we actually purchased this deck for $40. Now, I've looked it up on TCG Player. This entire deck list, if you run it, is an $88 deck list.
That is sick.
So what that's getting at, guys, we're not saying go out there and buy every single one of these things and then turn around, break them down to their skeletons and sell them individually, because honestly, that's frowned upon in the community, and it also hurts card sales because it makes card prices go up.
Yes, it does. And on top of that, guys, guys, yeah, obviously we found this deck at Walmart, which is the last place you're probably going to find a command, that you're normally going to be looking for Magic cards. If you can try and find these at your local LGS, I definitely recommend that to support those local shops for everything that they do. We went into Gamer Utopia over here in Rogers, went and asked Shane and see if they had it first, and unfortunately they didn't.
Now, one of the things that we do look at with these precons, the precons are out of the box, ready to play. They're a lot of fun, and for a beginner getting into Magic the Gathering, these precons are very self-explanatory. They're very streamlined. They're a lot of fun, and for my Lord Windgrace deck, I pretty much am running the precon, but I just added 2 new cards to it, and
it's kind of what I'm going to be looking at in this one too.
It's devastating. It's hard to go up against because these precons are actually fairly well streamlined. Now, there are of course ways to make it better, but those ways do take it out of the bargain bin approved area. We're looking at cards like Microsynth Lattice, Darksteel Forge, and you're also looking at Planar Bridge. Those 3 cards put together in this deck makes it go absolutely critically stupid, because you're able to just literally just keep spamming more artifacts out on the field. You're making all of your artifacts indestructible, and everything, including your lands, is artifacts, including the cards in your deck because of Microsynth Lattice. So if you're wanting to upgrade this deck, those are 3 cards I highly recommend, but that in itself is about a $120 combo.
Yes. If you want to do that, it is highly recommended. That's probably one of the best upgrades for this. Unfortunately, that will knock it out of our bargain bin area. And guys, coming up in the next expo, we're probably not going to show this deck. We're probably going to do our upgrades and tech and stuff like that, and then we're going to redo the tech showing those upgrades before we show it in the expo.
Now, one of the things we are going to be looking at if you're wanting to upgrade decks like this is Saheeli is a fantastic tribal planeswalker.
Yes,
utilizing Saheeli Rise, Saheeli the Gifted, and Saheeli the Sublime Artificer will actually also turn this deck on, and that's actually not going to break the price of it either.
No, it won't. And actually, those are 3 things. Having all 3 of those in the deck, obviously already having the one that's in there, but adding the others
Mm-hmm.
is basically turning this into a Saheeli, yeah, like you said, a planes, Super Friends deck.
In a way, it does. We're not unlike most Izzet decks. We don't see a whole lot of instants and sorceries being fired off at rapid fire. This is a artifacts tribal deck, so we're looking at pretty much Izzet colors, but primarily it is colorless. So one of my favorite things I like to look at with these decks is how do I, of course, break them.
Yes.
And so over time, I'm going to be thinking about how looking at upgrades for this deck. I'm looking at things to see if we can't splice in things like Wormfoil Engine, maybe even find Planar Bridge, and put it in there. I'm not looking at Darksteel Forge for it because that is an extremely expensive card. But if we can get anything to make it work better, it will definitely show up in the next battle.
Yes, and like you were saying, with Wormcoil Engine, that would be another good one to exile out of your hand to be able to tap and create a copy of that goes away, and then get those worms on the battlefield that way.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely another really good way to look at some of these upgrades and think about those combos that you can add to this deck on top of what's already in here.
So for those of you who are beginners getting into Magic for the first time, is the 2018 pre-con set for Saheeli, the Gifted, worth it? I would say it's definitely worth the money spent. It's already an out of the box. It's fairly competitive in its own right.
It has the rules and guidelines to show you how to run this deck and what it's meant to do. So it's going to be really beginner friendly.
It is. And with all that put together, even with a broke down TCG player price, it's definitely
bargain bin approved. So guys, go ahead and check out once again, our Patreon and our, and make sure you like and subscribe to see more things like this. All right. So we'll see you guys next time in the bargain bin.